Once upon a time, there lived a king and queen who were very unhappy because they had no children. But at last a little daughter was born, and their sorrow turned to joy. All the bells in the land were rung to tell the glad tidings.
I think we should have a christening feast so grand that the like of it will never be known. We will have 7 fairy godmothers, and each one will give our daughter a gift.
I quite agree.
So when the christening was over, the feast began. As the fairies were about to seat themselves, there came into the hall a very old fairy who had not been invited. She had left the kingdom 50 years before and had not been seen or heard of until this day. Her name was Maleficent.
Set a place for this young woman at once.
The gold on her plate, fork, spoon, and knife were not as good as the other fairies. This made the fairy very angry, and she sat there muttering to herself. A young fairy who sat near overheard her angry threats. This good godmother, fearing the fairy might give the child an unlucky gift, hid herself behind a curtain. She did this because she wished to speak last and perhaps be able to change the old fairy's game. At the end of the feast, the youngest fairy stepped forward.
The princess shall be the most beautiful woman in the world. She shall have a temper as sweet as an angel.
She shall have a wonderful grace in all she does or says. She shall sing like a nightingale.
She shall dance like a flower in the wind. She shall play music.
She shall play such music as was never heard on earth.
On her 17th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die!
Everyone at the party started weeping. Maleficent laughed and rushed out of the room. Just then the fairy who was behind the curtain came out.
Do not grieve, O king and queen. Your daughter shall not die. I am not strong enough to undo my eldest sister's curse. Your daughter shall prick her finger, but shall not die. She shall fall into a sleep that will last 100 years, and at the end of that time, a king's son will find her and awaken.
Immediately, the fairies vanished.
Burn all the spinning wheels! Go to every house, every place in the kingdom. Burn every single one you can find.
One day, when the princess was 17 years of age, the king and queen left her alone in the castle.
Henry! Charity, can you be the spindle?
Yes.
Alone in the castle. She wandered about the palace and at last came to a little room in the top of the tower. There, an old woman, so old and deaf that she had never heard of the king's man, sat spinning.
What are you doing, girl woman?
I am spinning, my pretty child.
Ah, how do you do it? Let me see if I can spin also.
She had just taken the spindle in her hand when in some way it pricked her finger. Aurora dropped to the floor. The old woman called for help, and people came from all sides. But nothing could be done. When the good young fairy heard the news, she came quickly to the castle. She knew Aurora must sleep for 100 years and would be frightened if she found herself alone when she awoke. So the fairy touched everyone except the king and queen in the palace with a wand. Ladies, gentlemen, pages, waiting maids, footmen, grooms in the stable, and even the horses. She touched them all. They all went into sleep just where they were when the wand touched them. A great many changes take place in 100 years. The king had no other child, and when he died, his throne passed to another royal family. Even the story of the sleeping princess was almost forgotten. One day, the son of the king who was then reigning was out hunting, and he saw towers rising above a thick wood. He asked what they were doing there, but no one was able to answer him. At last, an old peasant was found.
Your Highness, 50 years ago, my father told me that there is a castle in the woods where a princess sleeps. The most beautiful princess that ever lived. It was said that she must sleep there 100 years when she would be awakened by a king's son.
I will go and see for myself.
To the prince's astonishment, the stiff branches gave way, then closed again, allowing none of his companions to follow. He walked through the palace. Finally, the prince came to a chamber of gold,
Be a prince.
where he saw upon a bed the fairest sight one ever beheld. A princess of about 17 years who looked as if she had fallen asleep. Trembling, he kissed her delicately. Aurora's eyes flickered over.
Is it you, my prince? I've waited a long time for you to come.
Yes, it's me. I fell in love with you. Ever since my eyes fell upon you, will you marry me?
Of course.
The next day, Aurora and Philip were married, and they lived happily ever